Alright guys, welcome back with the new season and a new selection pack out there. As always, the new best 5 decks that you can use to most easily climb the ladder with and reach Master 1 as always, as every month. So let's, without any further ado, hop right into the list. My personal number 5 is still a Mech Mage. You can still find it on the tier list at masterduelmeta.com, and I think this is still one of the best decks and one of the most easiest decks to climb the ladder with and reach Diamond 1 or Master 1, depending on what you want to reach. It's just because this deck is very, very versatile and very consistent, especially when going first. You have the diameter on 1, that's a thing, and also the silent mining on 2, but we have also gotten the Fireball Defensor a few packs ago, and you still have a very, very high chance in somehow getting to your Mech Mage Circular, which you then can use to just win the game, build a really amazing board that not a lot of decks can even attempt to play through. And then when you're going second, you have one of the easiest going second kills that there is in the game and in any deck that you can play right now with the Access Code Talker. So any 3 Mech Mage bodies you can use to make the Access Code Talker double attack together with the Update Jammer and just kill your opponent. I have played this deck in many, many big tournaments, have reached top cut with this, Master Duel tournaments that is. Besides Bestias that can really wreck this deck but are not that relevant in the format right now, besides Branded Despia, there is not much that you will face that will destroy this deck. Obviously stuff like Dimension Shifter, but with the downfall of Kashtira with the new banners, that's quite alright. So I think if you want a very easy run with easy games, because this is not a really hard deck, then you should go for Mech Mage, my number 5 for this month's climb. So at number 4 we have Manadium, the new Manadium list with the Trishukta and together with the Amritara. We knew about the Amritara, but we did not know about the Trishukta, so this was a really big surprise. Honestly, in the beginning I wasn't really catching on to the fact that with the Sprite Elf you can also now use this 1-card combo Manadium Realm Heart. If you have not seen how the 1-card combo with the Realm Heart works, I have made a video, it's up in the right corner, but you can use your 1-card Realm Heart to climb into your Trishukta, into your Amritara, and basically end up on a Bestial Desparta, Baron de Fleur, and an Appaloosa for 3 or 4 materials, depending on how you play it on your opponent's turn. This was supposedly only possible with the Crimson Dragon that we not have in the game right now, but because we have Sprite Elf, this still works. So we have Manadium at nearly full power, I want to say. There's obviously the 1 card missing, I know I'm blanking on the name, but the one that basically also is Visa's Starfrost all the time. It's not important. That's the 1 card missing, making the deck a bit more consistent, but I'm very surprised, as I've played this, I guess, the most on the ladder in this current season. This is a very strong deck right now, very consistent. Obviously, it's pretty hard to get Drolled or to get a Max Seed. You can play or should play, I think, the Double Call By and Crossout Designator package to reduce the chance of this basically ending your turn. But other than that, if you can go first and you get your combo through, which is now quite consistent, then it's normally game. And also going second, this is a combo deck, but this is not a combo deck that struggles a lot when going second, because this has very strong tools in form of the Vicious Astrolaut and different other cards, but mainly the Astrolaut that you can quite easily summon and pop something on your opponent's board with. It's not hard for this deck to firstly break a board and secondly bring a lot of attack points to the board to finish the game. So really, really strong and a bit underrated in my opinion at the moment. Manadium, unfortunately, still a bit expensive, though with the new pack you would only need the Trishukta and the Visa's Amritara if you have all the other stuff already. And this is also a budget list. If you want to go full power, then you would go for a second Lightheart, though you can trust me, this does not make the biggest difference. I've tested this in a lot of games. Manadium, my number 4 for this month. How could this deck not be on the list? Vanquish Soul, by the way, as I now see the Fenrir at 1 here. Don't copy the exact lists, go to Master Duel Meta and copy a list from there. These are only example lists that are not like perfectly fit for the current meta environment, because Vanquish Soul I have not played in the current season a lot, so this is not really adapted to everything that's going on right now. But Vanquish Soul still super solid. If you can get your Raisin combo off, then you are in a very good position. This can play and win in the short and midterm against basically every deck, can outgrind a lot of decks, and still has the very dangerous Dimension Shifter in here that can just end games against against decks like your Super Heavy Samurai, your Mech Mage, and also your Manadium, of course. So a really strong card. And you can also put maybe a few Drone Lockbirds here. In here, you have the ability to play, for example, Ghost Bells if you want to, because they are also Earth. So very flexible. We have everything at full power here. And yeah, this might not seem a lot if you go for the first turn and end up on your first turn board, but it is, and is very good in breaking a board, but in also like hindering your opponent in building a board. Though you have to understand, this is not like a combo deck. You're not going Manadium full combo here and then your opponent can't break your board. This is more of a mid-range, slow your opponent down kind of strategy and then win by recruiting resources and regaining your resources in the long term, because you have multiple effects. For example, the Borger, the Caesar Valiers, the Raisin, and also your Gialong that you can use via quick effect on your opponent's turn and on your turn to accrue advantage and then win the game. Vanquish Soul, super solid. You definitely have to learn the deck for a moment. It's not the most easiest deck to pick up. Then again, it's also not the most difficult deck to understand. You always have to keep in mind that you need your fire, your dark, and your earth attribute in hand to basically get the most out of all the effects of the Vanquish Soul monsters. The new deck is here and it's on the second spot at my list, Super Heavy Samurai, which as I have heard, can't really confirm that because I'm not too into this deck. As you can see, I don't have it myself, but this, in my opinion, is one of the strongest decks to ever like release in this state in the game overall. We have seen this in the TCG. This does not, or didn't live for a long time. It was basically released in the state that we have it here in Master Duel, of course minus the Mech C, that is, and then 2 weeks later the Scarecrow was already forbidden, and I think this was the only change to the deck, but was enough to basically erase this deck from the tournament scene, where it was beginning to be one of the most like dominating decks ever. And then in the OCG we also had this Super Heavy Samurai deck in combination with, I think it was Emancipator, so it was an Emancipator Super Heavy Samurai. This dominated the OCG meta for a while, for a few weeks up to a few months. So really strong deck here. You can play a lot of hand traps. There is supposedly a first turn kill combo, which I'm not aware. Maybe you can let me know in the comments, guys. Maybe you have already been on the receiving end of the first turn kill combo, and let me know how you do it, which cards you need to accomplish that. But as you can see in this list, for example, you can also play the Artifact Doctor together with the Artifact Scythe to lock your opponent out from the extra deck, which is annoying. You have a lot of hand traps and you have a lot of one card combos, and this is not even a really expensive deck. I think could also go without a second Super Heavy Samurai, a Mon for Big Bankai. But keep in mind that, in my opinion, we will see a hit to this deck quite soon, because that's very uninteractive and a lot of people are already complaining and are not really happy playing against this deck. So I'm not really seeing this having a long life cycle, but remains to be seen. And definitely a powerhouse and a very easy deck that you can use to reach the max rank here in Master Duel with. And then, basically out of nowhere, but not really, came Branded back in the limelight. This was down on my list for quite a long time, for at least 6 or 7 months. Wasn't really on the list, but getting the Quem and also the, oh, it's not even in here, but getting the Quem and then the Dragon that can also gimmick Puppet Lock, the other Albion that is, really gave this deck a push. I have to admit that I'm not the biggest. I know how to play the deck. I have played the deck a lot. This was my first deck that I built in Master Duel when coming back to the game. Second one was Sword Soul then, but I have to admit that I'm not the biggest in-depth expert when it comes to Branded. I have played it when we got the Cartesia. I've played it a while on ladder for a few weeks, and the thing I like about Branded is that it's a really complicated deck. You really have to get all the possibilities together. I have to understand how the different pieces interact with each other. It's a really strong deck. I don't know why, don't really like playing the deck. I don't know why, because normally I like decks that are complicated and that you have to think a bit more when it comes to the plays. For some reason, it's not my cup of tea, but that does not mean that it is strong, or it is not strong, because it is, in my opinion, the strongest deck right now that you can take to the ladder, even with Branded Fusion being at 1. I have also seen lists that run this Thrust Fusion thingy package, so you run, I don't know, 3 or 2 triple tactics Thrust, and then you run this Fusion duplication card, which if your Branded Fusion gets hit with something with an Ash, for example, then you can use your Thrust, because Ash Ash was activated, and then just set your fusion duplication, which you can then use on your opponent's turn to use once again your branded fusion. Very, very strong. So obviously the main weak point of the deck was always the fact that if branded fusion gets Ash, then you have a problem. But with a lot of new tech options right now, or I should better say a lot of new engine options, this deck is now more than ever capable of making a really, really strong board. And one strong point of the deck, which was always a strong point, was the ability of branded to basically recur their resources, to get their Quem back, get their Ecclesia back, and then you also get your, what else do you get back? I think the Springen's Kit comes also back to the hand, and then you put your Albion in the grave, which gets you then a branded spell onto the field. So the possibilities of this deck are basically endless to get resources back and then kill your opponent with the strong fusion monsters. One card that in my opinion is very, very broken is Branded Lost. If you can use this card right, you can basically block your opponent from activating anything after your fusion summons. You can make really nice big chains, chain blocking everything together. So the Branded Lost, because everything happens in the same chain, the Branded Lost basically protects everything from being interacted with. So that's really, really insane. You still have the Bestial engine in here flying around, and the Bestials are still okay in this current meta against some decks, but they are also engines, so it's totally fine to have them in here. You might want to, if I look at this cut down on something like the second Sauron here, but yeah, branded, not the most expensive deck ever. You have some nice secret packs for that, especially the dedicated branded pack with, I think, 7 ultra rares, which are all relevant for branded. So really, really strong deck, really cool deck, and in my opinion, the deck that you will have the most easiest time with to climb to Master 1 if, and that is something to be mentioned here, if you have mastered the deck to some level. If you are new, then be aware of the fact that if you want to go branded to Master 1, then you will have to put in a bit of more effort learning the deck until you can easily reach Master 1 than you would, for example, with Mech Mage, or what would be another example from the list. I think Super Heavy Samurai might also be a bit easier if you have the base combo down, because if you really have the base combo of a combo deck down, then you normally also understand at which points you need to basically like adjust the combo if you get hand trapped. So keep that in mind. But yeah, guys, that's the list for this month, for this season. Let me know in the comments what you think of this list, what you think is missing on this list, or maybe a deck that's too high or too low on the list. Maybe you think Super Heavy is the best around, or Manadium. Let me know in the comments. I'm always interested. Thanks for being here. If you still are, if you like my videos, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, as this helps me out a lot, and we will see each other in the next one.